Hi, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to learn how to sew a button on using your sewing machine as well as by hand. Let's get started. The very first thing that you want to do is you want to get your manual, and you also want to find out which foot you need. Looking here at my sewing machine, it takes, I turn the light off, so here we go. It takes this foot, and this is the buttonhole foot. I have a 2-hole button, and you slip it between the little bar and the foot. Now on my machine, as you can see, I've gotten as close as I can with my camera. I have a little bitty bar right there in the middle, and I've put it between that, and it's just in there loosely. I mean, the foot's not down, so that's why it's loose and has play. You line up your button, you slowly use your hand wheel, and the directions on my machine are to hold on to the top thread. And I take the flywheel, I move the hand towards me, and now that I see it's not hitting any part of the button at all, it has got to clear and make sure it goes in those holes. You just want to be real careful. Now my machine says when it's finished it'll stop, so let's see. There we go. And it's done. And then in my case, what you want to do is you pull the flywheel until your needle goes to the highest. You're going to lift your foot, and I wiggle mine off the bar. I have to pull it because I need to have my bobbin come out. I do not want to be clipping it automatically with the scissors that it has on here. As you've seen, let's pull it over here a little bit into the light. The button's on there. Now what it wants you to do is to take, and I don't know why it ended up with more than normal threads, but somehow I've got 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top, and it was supposed to be 1 at the bottom and 1 at the top. But I'll tell you, if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Now they want you to take these threads and pull them through the bottom. What I'm doing it is I threaded the needle, and I'm putting it back into the hole. As you can see coming out here, that's one of them. Thread this needle here. Okay, that took care of those 2. Snip them down there. Take my last 2 and tie them in a knot. And then clip those. Now I did prepare my fabric before I even started. There you can see the buttons on. It's not going anywhere. As you can see here, it's not going anywhere. Normally if you were putting a button on a blouse or a pair of pants, or doesn't make any difference what you're putting it on, you're going to want to prepare it, and you'd normally have a top piece of fabric and a bottom, and what I do is I put a little bit of interfacing in here, right here, as you can see it. That just makes it stiffer, because this way it won't put a hole in your fabric. So that's the first way to put a button on. Now I'm old school and I prefer putting them on by hand, so let me show you how to do that. This is the little tool that I use to thread my needle. You take your needle and you put it in with the eye of the needle down in the little hole, and it even says on here, needle slot. So I'm going to use red thread so that you can see it. I normally take out about 18 inches. You lay it across where it says cutter. Let me show you. It's got a little slot right here. You just lay it in there, and all you do is push this button. I usually hold on to it. When you pull it up, it's automatically threaded. See if you can see that right there. Then just take it, pull one end. Let's go this way, pull this end here. And I just pulled it all the way out. So let's do that again. Okay, here we go. Try it again. There we go. Now I left that thread longer. So then when I pull it out, there we go. You'd think I've never done this before. Alright. Take your two ends, get them even, and then you're going to want to put a knot in them. One knot should be enough, and I'll show you why. You don't want a lot of bulk underneath your item that you're going to have this on. Get yourself a thimble. Any thimble's going to be fine. You just don't want the needle to be sticking your finger. Here's the fabric. Let's say that you decided you're going to put another button down from this one. And what I do is I come up through the bottom of the fabric. So this is the bottom of my fabric. I go back down through the top, which is the good side. And then what I'm doing is lifting up the end, and I'm putting my needle through it so that I've made a little circle here on the back. Then when I go back through, it's almost as if you've knotted it on the fabric itself. Let's use this blue button. And then you can put a button on any way that you'd like. You can, and with a, this is a 4 holes in this button. So you can either, let's see if you can even see this button. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. So your choices are, let me pick the camera up and I will hold it over the top of this so you can take a look. Let's put it over here in the light a little bit. You can either take your thread and sew it back and forth this way and then back and forth this way, or you can go up and down this way with it, or you can go across from each other and make an X. So it's just up to you. Or you could do all of those. You can go this way, you can go that way, you can go this way, that way, and an X. It doesn't make any difference. You're just reinforcing the buttons to stay on whatever garment you've sewn it on. I'm going to go ahead and do the X. This button would be like that. Do it a couple more times so that you can see it. Whatever hole that you start to, that you come out up into your fabric, that's the same one you want to go up through again. So I started on this bottom left corner here. I don't know if you can see that. Then I'm going to come up in that bottom left corner and go across to the right. Let's see if I can see it. And back over to the right. Then I started at the bottom right hand side and go across. Now let's say that you were finished with it. Then you go to the bottom of your fabric, and all you're doing is putting your needle through some of the threads that you have on there, and then you're tying a couple of knots. You don't need to tie them tight. They're not going anywhere. Okay, then you snip it. And there's your button. And it's not going anywhere. I'll pull on it a minute here, give you an idea. It's not going anywhere. Now that's just your standard button. Let me get another type of button to give you an idea in case you'd like it to be loose on your fabric. All right, I went and got another button. Now let's say that you were making a child's blouse or apron. It doesn't make any difference. Let's just say that you were going to put this on it. This is just a little rabbit I got out of a package. You do the same thing. You would prep your fabric. I'd go ahead, lock it again. So tie your thread, get it ready, put it through. Do the same thing you did before. I'm using red so that you can see it. And I want to get it knotted. Okay, so then I take my thread, come up through the fabric to the correct side. And if you can see the back of this, so you can do a couple of things here. First, I take this, there you go, put it up against here. And keep in mind it's going to be really loose. And then I just go right down next to the spot that I came up in, and then flip it over here, and it pulls up, and then I hold on to my fabric, and it's just a matter of going through the hole like this, and you just keep going back through. And you're not really making it too tight. I mean, it's going to wiggle on your fabric. It's going to have a little wiggle there because it's not going to be flat up against there. And you're going to do the same thing on here. You're just going to do it a few times. Now, since it's going to be on, if you, excuse me, if you were putting this on a child's, then you're going to want to put quite a few because they're going to be pulling on this button every time they show it to somebody, or just putting their hands on it, picking at it, because that's what kids do. And then when you tie it off, the same thing. Just take it into some of that thread that's back there, make a couple of knots. Maybe for this one you want more than a couple of knots. Here's all the buttons that we just did. Okay. Now that's how you sew your buttons. That's it for today. Bye-bye.